Hello, I'm Daniela. In today's video, we're going to stitch a little simple Easter scene. It's really just a bunny scene with a silhouette of a bunny. Now I make a template just with a quick sketch. I make sure I have 3 key parts: the big ears, the bunny tail, and some big feet. From there, I stitch over some interesting lace or tulle, and I create a very interesting bunny. The result is very cute. I continue further by stitching in some lazy daisy stitches to make just a little flower and some leaves, and it's a really sweet look. You can take this piece and add it to your slow stitching or make it the main focal point. It's totally up to you. So let's get started.
So here's a version of the little bunny we're going to make today. On this one, I used just a piece of cotton muslin, a little bit of batting for the background, and then some lace for the front. I'll show you how I did this. Now, if you don't have lace, there are other things you can use. You can use tulle, and I'm going to use tulle today, which is just like this little nylon webbing, but I'm going to fold it in half because the 2 layers are a little more of a contrast than just the single layer. But it's still very easy to stitch through. You could use a little produce bag. It's kind of a netting. This would work just as well as the lace if you don't have the lace. And you can use the lace just as easily. The one thing you want to remember is you want to find a lace that isn't going to unravel when you cut it. So something that's hand crocheted wouldn't necessarily work, but this machine embroidered piece would. Likewise, you can find something like from the dollar store. This is just a little doily, and when this gets cut, it doesn't unravel either. In fact, that's what I used to make this little bunny. So to make your bunny, you're going to need a template, and this is just a simple silhouette that I just quickly sketched out of a bunny sitting up. You can use any type of bunny, just the face if you wanted, but I just think it's really cute to use the entire bunny and then stitch a little flower on him. I also have a piece of just an old quilt in the back here, just to give it a little substance. So I'll take my bunny and situate it on the fabric, which I'll then put on the quilt when I'm ready. And I just want to make the outline here. Take a little heat erasable marker and sketch the outline. Now you can make as many or as few features as you want. Here I have just the silhouette of the bunny, but I want to come back down here with the ears and the tail. And I also like to make a little foot here. I just think it adds a little more dimension to my bunny. You can add eyes and a nose if you wanted, but I'm quite happy with that. So I'll take my little quilt and put it behind my bunny just to make sure I have it on the quilt nicely, because I'll attach this to my work at another point. And I have my tulle here. I'm just going to fold it in 2 layers, and I just want to make sure I have enough layers to go over the bunny and then some. So right here is the edging of that tulle. I just want to make sure that I leave at least 1/4 to 1/2 inch around that bunny. I'm going to take a couple of pins and pin those layers of tulle in place. And now I'm going to take some embroidery thread. You can use any color you want. I'm going to use a gray just because it's similar to my background color. And I'm going to start, and I'm just going to stitch a back stitch all the way around the silhouette of the bunny. I'm not going to worry about those features of the ears or the leg here or the inside of the tail. Right now I'm just trying to anchor my tulle to my fabric. So I'll stitch it all the way around with these back stitches, and I'm using all 6 strands of gray embroidery floss, but you can use as few as you'd like. I'm just trying to create that shape of that silhouette of that bunny. So now I've finished stitching around the perimeter. I can remove these pins from inside the bunny because my tulle is now held in place. And now I can go and stitch these lines. And I'll start here in between the ears and then just finish up on the leg and the tail. So I have my bunny all stitched. The next part is to slowly take your scissors and cut around the bunny evenly, just 1/8 of an inch or so, just a little past the stitching. You still want to preserve the shape that you have stitched here. You can always go back in and trim a little more. So there's my first round of cuts for the bunny. If I have to switch to a smaller pair of scissors, I'll do that, but I just want to trim around it and just fine tune it just a little bit. And so I'm quite pleased with how that bunny's come out. Now you can leave it just like this and use this in your work if you'd like, but I like to stitch just a little bit of a lazy daisy stitch for a little pink flower, maybe some greenery. In this one I have little French knots in yellow. You can do however you want. So I'm just going to take some pink, make a little lazy daisy stitch. I have my needle threaded, and I kind of want it to be like a little necklace or just a little corsage, shall we say. So I take my needle through my fabric and I decide how long I want the petals. I only need them to be maybe 1/2 inch. So I'm going to come down right next to where I went up and take my needle that distance that I wanted, about 1/2 inch or so. I'll pull the thread behind the needle and pull up my stitch. I don't want to pull it too taut, and then I stitch down. And I like to do 4 or 5 stitches. It depends on the size of the petals and whatnot. But I'll just come over here, come back down next to it, try and recreate the petal length with my needle. Make sure my thread is behind it. Stitch down. And I continue to do this with as many petals as I want. Stitch in, move my thread around, make my petal, and tack it down. I'll try and do 2 more little petals. And 1 more. This kind of closes that little circle that I've created in the center here. This is a good place to put another French knot if you'd like, or a few stitches, whatever works for you. I'll knot this off on the back. And you can see that I have a little bit of a bunny, the silhouette back here. Now I have some green thread. I just want to add 1 or 2 little leaves. I think I'll make them a little bit smaller than my pink stitch. So I come around, tack it down, and then I'll do 1 more maybe right here. Again, just a sweet little leaf stitch. Stitch up and down, a small little leaf. And then I have a cute little bunny with a little flower. Knot it off on the back. So there you have your cute little silhouette of a bunny, and you can take it as far as you want, adding additional elements. I'm just going to leave this in my supply stash so I can add this to my slow stitching pieces as I need it.
So that's how I create my bunny scene, my silhouette, using just a quick sketch of a bunny. You could find different ways to make that sketch. You can search online, you could even trace a chocolate bunny. It's really a cute look. I like the idea of using different textures, so that's why I pull in the lace or the tulle, and then that little pop of color from those stitches of the flower are really sweet. Now I find it really beneficial to use kind of similar toned colors. So if you use tulle or some type of light lace or netting, go with a neutral for your background. That way the shape really pops, the texture, as well as the flowers. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe. Thanks for joining me today.